This episode is brought to you by the University of Maryland's Department of Communication, where voices are built and stories find their power. Special thanks to Dr. Adam Nixon for sponsoring this episode and inspiring us to keep the conversations going, both on and off the mic. Welcome to A Game of Identity, the podcast that explores how communication shapes who we are, how we see each other, and how stories influence the world around us. Every episode will unpack the ideas, moments, and the conversations that reveal what identity really means in culture, in media, and in everyday life. I'm your host, and I'm excited to dive in. Let's get started. Welcome back to Game of Identity. On today's episode of Framing the Athlete, we will be talking about media stereotypes and public perceptions. We will discuss the media portrayal of female athletes and how it has evolved. I'm your host, Addie Carr, and joined by me is...
Hi, I'm your host, Cece, and I'm excited to dive into this topic.
Over the past years, media coverage has really just changed all around. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because we're living on our phones too much. Everyone's on their laptops and tablets. But think about it. If we put ourselves in a place where we have to remove all these devices, where do we get our media from?
Absolutely. And I definitely agree with that too, because it seems like, at least for me, I get a lot of my news and that sort of stuff from social media.
Speaking of sports, though, media coverage has definitely gone through some changes over the past, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. The thing, too, is that, there's a lot of different ways that people are being shown.
I agree.
So, last week we kind of talked about, Serena Williams and how she is seen as angry, aggressive, that sort of stuff. And it's because she got upset after a match. But... men,
yeah,
they always are getting in arguments. They're always getting in fights and that kind of stuff. But you don't see much coverage about it,
right?
But also, I think another thing that we have to look into is how are women portrayed in media. Honestly, it's really interesting to me now because it seems like a lot of female athletes are they're sexualized through social media, through all media coverage in general. I've been an athlete my whole life. I'm a lifelong athlete, and I personally would much rather look like this on the screen and people see my authentic self, no makeup, none of that kind of stuff, instead of me in a tiny little dress with a bunch of makeup. I don't even wear makeup on a daily basis. I don't want to have to look pretty for people to notice me.
For example, in the journal Feminist Media Source, the researchers found that there are more women participating in the Olympics, but also they're not being portrayed as women that are accomplishing higher goals. For an example, we have Serena Williams that we explained, but then who is actually putting them out there? Are these media covering all of these things? Female athletes are often described as they're often described using stereotypes. We're supposed to be cooking and cleaning, very feminine, but then now we dive deeper into the athletes. Why can't we get our flowers?
And I definitely, I'm glad that you brought up the Olympics because I think that's a perfect example of media coverage for women's sports and how it has changed. I know we are very used to seeing coverage of the USA women's gymnastics team.
Yeah.
The team names like the Magnificent Seven or the Fierce Five come to mind for many people. Unfortunately, coverage like that, coverage like such on women's Olympic teams was not always common. In the journal Mass Communication and Society, Janet Fink and Linda Kaninsky reported that several studies have revealed that the 1996 Olympic Games produced no gains in parity for women in the media, meaning there really wasn't anyone who looked over them, and they weren't really noticed that much. And also it's interesting because I think about who is it, Simone Biles?
Yeah.
She actually left the Olympics. I don't remember which year it was.
I think it was a mental thing.
Yeah, and it was mental health, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's weak. If guys did that,
can you imagine?"
Over.
Yeah. So imagine that's a lot. That says a lot about where the focus is with women. But then it's the stereotype that I mentioned earlier. We're told to be soft, and if we cry, it's an emotional thing, and that's not how we should be portrayed. Simple as that. They always want us to look pretty and then just be very soft. Also, why can't we be strong? Why can't we leave it at that?
Absolutely. And it's interesting to me as well because I kind of think about me as a high school lacrosse coach now. So I have been a high school JV lacrosse coach for I'm going to my third season, and I remember my first year, they're like, you're being too intense with the girls. Like, you're yelling too much. You're doing this, you're doing that. And I quite literally looked at them, and it was the varsity coach, and I love her to death. She's awesome. But I looked at her, I'm like, I'm sorry, if you don't like the way that I'm coaching, then I shouldn't be a part of this. I'm like, this is the way that I was coached, and I had male coaches.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go, like, I had D1 offers, I had D2 offers, I had D3 offers. I was supposed to play in college.
Yeah.
Like, I learned how to really show, like, my intensity and, like, actually get these offers given and handed to me.
For your accomplishments.
For
sure.
Yeah, like, for the intensity from my coaches, too. And so I do that exact same thing now. And, like, the girls, before I coached them, they lost every single game. The season before, they had a 0-7 thing.
Boom.
They came back, and it was like a 5-3-1, and then last year was a 5-4 record. So my intensity is paying off, and these girls are actually listening.
I had a similar experience. For me, I played basketball varsity throughout high school, and I noticed the difference between the audience. Most people showed up to the boys at varsity team, but when it was the girls' time to play, people disappeared. So I feel like more people support the male sports than the women's sport. But the thing is, we have girls getting scholarships. We have girls that are actually having highlights that look top notch, you know? But who is really supporting us? The thing is, they expect us to cheerlead, but why can't we hit the court? Why can't we play lacrosse? Why can't we play baseball or softball? I guess it's football. But I think that's a very important topic, because why is it that we are not being represented? We're represented, but why are we not getting that same platform as men?
And I've noticed, too, that we just get a lot more people come to our games when we're celebrating something. Like, we have a Morgan Message game, which is suicide awareness with athletes. We also have, like, a happiness game, which was a drunk driving accident that happened to a couple of students at Magruder many years back.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they died. But that was the only way that we got students and we got people to come in and support us. Otherwise, it's just parents out in the stands because they want to see their daughters succeed.
Let's look at the history. So in the past, we weren't getting that much recognition, but we know about Angela. What's basketball? Angela, she plays for LSU. Angela Reese, and then we also have
Angel Reese.
And Angel, thank you. Angel Reese, and we have another basketball player. They're now being acknowledged, and they're getting bigger sponsorships. But then now, think about it, media is showing them, and that's why they're pro athletes. Not just that, they're getting sponsorship like the male athletes, and then we also have a lot of women that want to actually participate in these sports, and more people are showing up. So now if you look at the numbers, more people are showing up to these female college basketball games, and they're getting more sponsored, and that's what I love. Yeah.
And it's also interesting that we're able to name examples.
I know. Finally.
But we're able to show these examples, and we're able to tell people our own experience. Like, why does this just now have to be heard and everything like that? Why could it not be this way before?
Right. I agree.
So,
exactly. The fact that both of us can name examples says a lot. And when it's happening on huge stages like Olympics and the WNBA, it says a lot. The media plays such a big role in shaping what people see, and when women's wins aren't celebrated, we need to put a stop to that. Not even a stop, we need to kind of put it out there that we can accomplish things, and we need our flowers. Simple.
Yeah. And honestly, it's very unfortunate.
And
it's also imperative to take into account that what is often reported reinforces stereotypes about women. These stereotypes set us back constantly, and the media only adds fuel to that fire, because the second someone starts getting upset, like once again, as we have said so many times, Serena Williams throwing her racket, that's when it's noticed. Like, why does her athletic ability have to be noticed because she's getting upset?
Right. It shows that we should stay quiet and not get celebrated when we make these accomplishments. And that's the thing that we need to put a stop to. But what would you suggest the viewers to do?
Honestly, I feel like you really just have to show your true colors. Like, the less that you support female sports, this is going to sound really bad, but like, if your girlfriend or your sister or someone like that is an incredible athlete and you're not going out to support them play their sport, what are you doing?
Like, why can't you get their name out there? Why can't you help them out? Like, Caitlin Clark's dad is all over her. Like, absolutely loves her.
Right.
And they've always been supportive like that. And like how far she's come.
Right. So we need to change. We need to change.
We definitely need to get loud. We need to start these we need to start having these conversations with our peers about women athletes and how the media is showing them. Like, we need to show that these girls and women can go out there and they can show off their uniform. They can get blood all over their uniform. They can be playing rugby. They can be having any body type, anything.
Yeah.
And that they're awesome at sports.
Exactly. This is the time now to speak up and shift the narrative. And we can't keep letting these things to put a pause in women's sports. It's all outdated, and it's an outdated perception. Real change happens when people, especially those watching, like you mentioned, her father was supporting her throughout. Even those viewers, they start holding media accountable, because we don't know about these female sports. We don't know about these accomplishments unless we do the research. So,
and lastly, something else that we can add to that is it is so easy to become an influencer and that sort of stuff well, it's not easy, but it's easier now to become an influencer and to be showing off these female athletes. Like, just show these girls, share it, like, show their true skill, everything.
Share it, And we need to uplift women athletes for their talents and determination and impact. So let's keep pushing forward together and make it clear that the kind of bias is no longer acceptable.
Take this episode in and see where your newfound perception takes you.
Thank you all for tuning in. And remember, we each have the power to shift conversations. And we will see you guys next time at the Game of Identity.
That's all for today's episode of Game of Identity. Thanks for listening and being part of the conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and keep the dialogue going. Because identity isn't something we figure out once. It's something we keep discovering. I'll see you next time.